This one needs to be kicked off with some context. I'm reading this to you from Reddit and probably showing the picture on screen. I found myself wanting to replace all the goblins in my OSE games, that's old school essentials, it's like 1E style, with otters. Do you guys have any tips for doing this? What do you think would be the effects on a fantasy world where all the goblins are replaced with otters? Any otter-based supplements you guys can recommend? Thanks. Now, with that in mind, it got me thinking aquatically. I figured out an interesting structure for an adventure by scrapping the otters for the superior semi-aquatic animal, the beaver. You see, if I mash a beaver with a goblin, I just gave the most common monster of the realm carpentry skills and a housing structure. And you can do a lot with dams as a housing structure for monsters, most notably floods. And that builds a real neat adventure hook. A town, big or small, is flooded and abandoned. But treasure remains, all you would need to do is uncover it and retrieve whatever was abandoned from within the town. Editing note, I was imagining it flooding an entire town so there's like a lake over a town, but you could probably have it flood a gem mine a bit more believably, and that could make for a better arrangement. Let's say a holy relic that used to belong to the town's church. To clear the area of the flooded water, you must remove a structure that is full of monsters and acts as those monsters' home. An NPC hands the party Fantasy C4 and explains it needs to be placed at the bottom of the inside of the dam. And now we have a real nice quest. In the flow of going to the ground floor, our first problem is getting past the initial goblins. Since they are beavers, we're gonna give them a lot of wood. I'm thinking spears instead of the traditional scimitar. Entering the lair could be simple combat or an athletics check to swim to a hidden entrance. I would organize the lair based on elevation. Basically, you're going down. At each stage, we should show these beaver goblins crafting, cooking, or otherwise engaging in survival. If we were to add traps, I would imagine sections of the floor being weak so they give out under the heavy weight of adventurers but not under the weight of goblins. Let's give them another unique trait right here. I'm thinking splinters of wood morph into claws of some of the more magically inclined ones, giving them a bonus to damage and that rampage trait from gnolls. Also, while I don't see them getting wargs, we could throw in some level of domesticated creature. Let's drag the otters back in here and use them kinda like attack dogs. Remind the players that they don't need to kill all of the foes, only detonate the magic C4. Since they are placing the C4 on the bottom floor, I would imagine that would be the most secure floor that the goblins have. So this would be where I have them either keep treasure or goblin children. The children could act as an alarm system of sorts because they would make a bunch of noise upon fantasy explosives being placed next to them. After placing the magic C4, instead of detonating it after the players leave, have it go off early and then collapse the den while everyone is within it. This way you can have a very exciting moment to add a cliffhanger, and then as they're flowing out, they wash up on some shoreline and can go on a brief quest to recover their equipment. By the way, since you made it this far, can you hit the red button down below? At the same time, our beaver goblins are likely quite mad and seek revenge. I imagine they build behemoths of wood in this case. I'll probably have an image because I don't know how to describe it correctly. While in the town, the party has to deal with who knows what monsters that came to infest it while it was flooded. I'd probably use a shadow demon in an abandoned cult lair with animated dead accompanying him, or maybe some Kuatoa that brought some extra being to some sort of powerful state. After that, on the way out, they deal with the looming threat of the surviving goblinoids, and they have retrieved probably a relic or some gold from the town and return home to a job well done. I probably could have spent more time and written a half-decent module, but instead you got this half-decent concept video and then you have to make the dungeons yourself. Hit the red button and watch whatever this is.